Okay, welcome back. Now, what are we going to do today? Well, we're going to jump into Resolve, and I'm going to show you how to prep the first part of your grade, okay, or color correction. Now, what is a grade? What's a color correction? Now, a color correction is a little tweak. It's a little tweak, it's a little play, it's a little having a go, just trying to extract something out of the clip. A grade is a series of color corrections, many color corrections built up to a grade being the umbrella term, okay? Now, I'm in Resolve. This is version 15, and you can see across the top, you can see actually down here, I'm in the color page, and I just want to see the timeline because I want to see the thumbnails as well. So there's my clips. First thing I need to do is, you can see I've got a split, something going on wrong here. I've got some half bitsy on screen, so therefore there must be something wrong with the timeline. Let's have a look. I'm going to jump back to the edit page. Oh yeah, there you go. Oh, you can see that I've got my guide still on. So I'm just going to turn that off. Okay, I don't need that anymore. It's just a guide. I can remove that at any point. Okay, so I've found the clip that I want to use, and I'm going to go with this clip here. What's the most important thing about grading somebody? Well, we want to get them where they're at least with their eyes open, in focus, sort of looking at the camera perhaps. This guy doesn't look at the camera, but I'm going to go with this one here, okay? So this is the frame that I'm going to use. Now, how do we start? Well, there's various elements and tools in Resolve, but the way that I'm going to do it is the most important thing about Resolve and grading is how do we know what colors are? How do we know that red is red, blue is blue? How would we know this? We can do that. Get a good indication if we go to Workspace and we go to Video Scopes and turn them on. And we've got some cool things here. We have the waveform, the parade, the Vectorscope, and the Histogram. Now, I'm only really at this stage concerned about these two, the waveform and the Vectorscope. Waveform being looking at the lights and darks, okay, the luminance within the image, okay, the higher we go, the brighter the image, the lower we go, the darker the image, okay. And the Vectorscope, you can see that we've got red, magenta, blue, cyan, green, and yellow. And whichever way this is predominantly pointing, and the strength of it moving outwards would indicate the amount of that color in the image, okay? And you could have an image with all those colors on, and there'd be like a little star shape pointing in different directions, okay? If there was nothing, no light in this image at all, it'd be nothing. There'd be a black and white image. Histogram is going to be an interesting view of the weight of the RGB, and also the parade is giving me an interesting view as well. That. So I'm at the moment in time, I'm sort of happy with that. But I can move this over to the side. I just want to concentrate on the waveform and the Vectorscope for the moment. Okay. On the Vectorscope, I just want to go to these little menus here, and I want to show the skin tone indicator. That's quite important. Now this skin tone indicator is really important. So it's pointing this way, sort of leaning over towards the red side. Okay. This would be traditional. This would work on in whatever type of skin tone that you had. Actually, it's really quite handy. It's universal, and generally you'd sort of want to sort of lean to the side. So this particular chap he's not too bad with his skin tone. We know that this is sort of in the right area, which is quite good. But how do we start with him? Okay, well the first place I would start with any form of color correction and grade is to find the nodes. So let's turn the nodes on. You can see the image is coming into the node will apply a change and it spits it out so we can see it. We've got loads of different tools down here, camera raw, color match, we've got color wheels, RGB mixer is quite handy, motion effects, curves, qualifier, window, tracker, we've got blur and sharpen and other little tools too. Now, I want to start with the curves. Curves is always really quite handy. If I'm looking at this image looks flat to me. It's either been shot flat or it's shot log of some form. Could be S-log. It's looking pretty thin to me. So first thing I want to do is over at the curves, we have light part of the image here and we have the darker part of the image here, okay? But I want to keep the angle of this curve fixed, okay? And I want to put separate points in, okay? And if I'm looking at my scope, okay, if this 1023 line is true white and this is true black, okay, I want to try and pull this image out so it fills that Rec 709 color space. Okay. Now I'm just going to drag on the white. I'm going to drag to the left, and you can see on the scope how it's raising up. Okay, and I'm just taking it a little bit higher. You can see I can take it really high, and then we start to lose definition. You see that capped off area here, all this cap, all that information. We're losing pixels here. Okay, we're losing information. So I just want to pull it back. We've got one peaked area here, which is a little bit annoying. I would imagine it could be this really sharp white down here, actually. But I'm just going to raise it up to about there. This particular point here doesn't really concern me. I'm just going to make sure that the contributor is lit well. Now I'm just going over to the blacks, and I'm going to pull the blacks over to the right, and I'm going to drop it down. And you can see I'm dropping it. I mean, I could go all the way to that true black line, but I don't think there's any true black in the image. And if you think of a chap with a sort of a bluey navy jumper on, there isn't really any black in that image. I mean, the darkest part maybe is just under his collar, or the shade on his jumper or in his mouth. So I think I'm going to sit around about there. I'm quite happy with that. You can see that. So that's my first pass. Okay, I'm happy with that. And we can turn that on and off. Okay, and you can do that via here too. Okay, off, on, off, on. It's looking pretty good. Okay, I like that. Now I'm going to have another node. So if I go Option S, another node is created. Now with this grade, I want to do something else. Now I'm going to jump over to the color wheels here. Now, thing to be aware of when you're on the color wheels, don't start with log. Do not start with log. Okay, start with the wheels. Log is for fine adjustments. Okay, and I'll explain that in a later video. Start on color wheels. Now, what we want to do, the image is looking, quite nice, but what I just want to do, I want to lift up the saturation. We've got some saturation here. I'm just going to pull the saturation up a little bit. Okay, not too much. We want the red to burn out, and I just want to have a little. Okay, and I just want to have a little play with the contrast. Okay, and you can see what the contrast is doing. Look at the waveform. When I move the contrast to the right, the contrast is separating lights from darks. That's what it's doing. Okay. And actually, it's constraining those pixels and that information, so you end up with something like that. We don't want that, okay? Let's go back to what it was. I just want to increase it very, very slightly, okay? I just want to, the traditional term is crush the blacks, something that used to be really big in the 90s, not so much now. But I'm sort of quite happy with that. Now let's turn off that node. Okay, now if you hit Command D, see, I'm now just turning off that node only. You can see there's a big difference there, looking quite nice. Okay, we have our two color corrections. We have our curves. It's quite good. You can actually label this as well. You could go to node label and we'll call it curves. And I could do the same here, and I could call this sat contrast. Okay. Don't have to do that if you have time, perhaps. Option S, I want to have another node now. So I'm liking the way that he looks, but actually, let us do something else. I want to sharpen his face. So the way that we can do that is I can go to a power window here, click on the circle window, and let us just sort of gain this just around his face here, okay? I think he's looking a little, focus isn't sitting quite well with him there. Little trick that Resolve does quite well, actually, is sharpens the image, which sort of tricks you into thinking it's being defocused, but it isn't. So we have our power window. It needs to follow his head, so I'm at the beginning of the shot. Let me just jump over the tracker first. And this tracker elements here, turn off 3D. We don't need that, and hit play. It's an incredible track, isn't it? Really quick. It's nicely done. Good. Now I'm going to jump over to this section, the blur, drop down menu, hit sharpen. I'm going to go to radius. And if I pull radius down, you see what's happening here. So it's just affecting inside that circle. Super sharpening, super blurred. Now if I go back to the middle, I just want to eke in a tiny bit of sharpening, maybe about there. Okay. Now, if I go over to this node, Command D, now can you see very, very slightly on his face. Off, on, off, on. Just that little bit of sharpening slightly focuses it for us, which is nice. And we've got a nice little track too. And I could go back to the power window and just blur those edges out so we don't get sort of a hard edge around here. So I'm happy with that. So what have we got? Let's label that too. And we're going to call it track sharp. Okay. And now option S, another node. What else do I want to do? Well, I sort of want to focus on him. Okay. And the background is looking very rich. That's good, but a little bit too much for me. I now want to go to the power windows again, and I want to draw our attention to this chap. Okay, and I'm just going to apply some aspect to this. Okay, so almost going to have him like in a tunnel of light. I'm going to jump over to color wheels, and I'm just going to drop the gain down, slide it down, the gamma slider down. Not ideally what I want it to be the other way around. So if I jump over to the power window and hit the invert key, it flips it to the other side. And now I can just pull the softness out, okay? So that's looking quite nice, but still not right. Still not right. This is still looking too rich. So what I can do is go back to here, and I can now start dropping the saturation. Pull the saturation down a little bit. That's good. And also I can jump over to what's quite handy here is we can look at the key of the image. There's the key, so the white area is what I'm affecting, but here's the key output. I can actually pull the strength of that key down. So we go back to the original image, essentially. So I now have a very gentle effect. So he looks like it's illuminated. We're sort of graduated in the background here. So I quite like that. It's nice. Now, let's option D and turn the whole thing off, on, off, on. And if I just, you can do that here too. You can see within the space of 4 nodes. Let me label this one too. We'll just call it vignette. We have our curves. So we balance the image. We've tweaked the saturation and contrast. We've applied a sharpen and track, and we've applied a vignette. Those 4 things, everyone, is a grade. Okay, that's a grade. That is a series of color corrections and alterations underneath the umbrella term of a grade. Now, if we look at the guy, what he was, what he is, that's a million times better, and hopefully your client will like it. Now, of course, you can go further. You can have as many nodes as you essentially want to. You can apply a different style. You can give it a theme. That's up to you. But I think at this stage of the game, it's important to fix and repair the shot first. That's what you have to do in any grade. Repair, fix the shot, save the shot, and then apply a style. Okay, that's what you need to do first. I hope you've enjoyed the video. Have fun with this, and I really hope you make some wonderful films.